Most beginners think box shadows can only make elements look darker, but that's only half of what they're capable of. One simple color change can completely transform an ordinary shadow into a beautiful lighting effect that instantly makes your website feel more modern and premium. In this lesson, I'm going to show you exactly how professional designers do it. In our previous lesson, we learned how to combine multiple box shadows to create realistic depth. Both of our shadows used the same dark red color because our goal was to make the card feel like it was naturally floating above the page. In this lesson, we're going to build on that exact example. Instead of giving every shadow the same color, we're going to let each shadow play a different role. One shadow will continue creating realistic depth. The other will become a soft lighting effect. Let's begin with the exact code we finished with in our previous lesson. Look carefully at the screen. Both shadows are using exactly the same dark red color. The first shadow is darker, sharper, and sits much closer to our card. The second shadow is softer, blurrier, and spreads much farther underneath it. Working together, they create a realistic floating effect. Now, let's perform a very small experiment. This time, don't touch the first shadow. Leave it exactly the way it is. We're only going to change the color of the second shadow. Let's update the second shadow color to rgba 0, 255, 0, 0.35. Now, look at the screen. Immediately, something feels different. But before I explain why, take a second and simply observe what your eyes are seeing. Can you spot the difference? Notice the only thing we changed was the color of the second shadow, yet the entire design suddenly feels more modern. Instead of looking like two layers of darkness, the card now has both depth and light. So why did that happen? Remember what we learned in our previous lesson. Every box shadow is completely independent. Each shadow has its own horizontal offset, its own vertical offset, its own blur radius, its own spread radius, and its own color. That means one shadow doesn't have to copy another. Each shadow can have its own purpose. In our example, the first shadow is still doing exactly what it did before. It's creating realistic depth underneath the card. But the second shadow has a completely different job now. Instead of creating another layer of darkness, it's creating a soft green glow around the card. The two shadows are no longer doing the same thing. One creates shadow, the other creates light. And when you combine them together, your design instantly feels more polished and much more professional. You completely change the appearance of your design simply by changing the color of one shadow. That's the power of multiple box shadows. The browser doesn't care whether one shadow is red, green, blue, or purple. It simply draws each shadow exactly as you tell it. This gives you complete creative freedom. You can use realistic colors when you want your interface to look natural, or you can use brighter colors when you want to create lighting effects that grab the user's attention. This is also one of the biggest reasons we switched from using the dark red color keyword to the rgba color function. The rgba color function doesn't just let us choose different colors, it also lets us control exactly how strong those colors appear. For example, increase the opacity from 0.35 to 0.6. Look at the screen. Notice how the green lighting effect becomes much stronger. Now reduce it to 0.15. The glow becomes much softer and more subtle. Just by changing a single number, you can completely control how dramatic or how gentle the lighting effect looks. Now here's something even more exciting. So far, we've only changed the color of one shadow, while leaving the first one exactly the same. But what happens if every shadow has a completely different color? Can we combine blue, purple, pink, and cyan together to create beautiful neon lighting effects? Can we build futuristic cards and gaming-style interfaces using nothing but CSS? That's exactly what we're going to explore in the next lesson. If this lesson makes sense, comment, "I understand colored box shadows." Also, don't forget to follow or subscribe so you don't miss the next lesson.